What I have to say about my mental illness? Well, it's been a lifelong struggle for me to even talk about it. Hard for me to talk about because of the shame that I lived with. Because of my family history, I was afraid to end up a statistic. I've always wanted more. I'm a competitive person. I strived for something better in life. That's why I was the first one to graduate high school and college in my family. I always wanted to make something of my life. I had aspirations. They were pretty low though at a young age because I had a very low self-esteem. I still do, but it got a little better as I was in college. I sort of believed in myself a little bit. But ultimately, what has cost me most dearly in life is the fact that I didn't seek out help for my mental illness at a young age. And the reason I didn't is because of the stigma that we throw down on people. And will it ever change? I doubt it. Children are terrible. Accepting differences is hard. So it's a tough thing. Starts at a very young age. I want parents, if anybody listens to this, to think about. Starts with you telling your children who they should or should not play with. That's where the judging starts for a lot of people, and they don't realize it. You're actively telling your children not to go hang out with that kid because he's most likely poor, comes from a different socioeconomic status than you. So we start very early to judge others. And when you have mental illness and you're even more different, that makes it even more difficult. That's why I have the scales of getting screwed over. That's why I'm very sympathetic to people in the black community, and your guys' struggle is, I know, worse than ours. I've even though grown up poor and being screwed over by the system, I can still say I've benefited from my white privilege. In '99, I was charged with assault, second OWI, and indecent exposure. I didn't do one day in jail, and I know that wouldn't be the case for most black men. They would have gotten a much harsher sentence. That was all in 1 year. So it's a heck of a thing. But then speaking of getting in trouble with the law, that's pretty much directly related to usually mental illness there too. There's a lot of underlying factors, and if you go look at statistics, pretty much our prisons and jails are full of people with mental illness that a lot of times will have a substance abuse problem that will get them into that situation. So it's really a problem with treating their mental aspect. That's what most treatment facilities that's what they focus on these days is your mental health. That's what drives the substance abuse. And I've been there too in my past, and that's where I don't drink anymore. I still will have some cocktails, I guess, and I have been drunk occasionally throughout the years, but I have no desire. My younger days I drank. That was all about just getting drunk to go talk to people, because I didn't realize, even though I was social, I still had social anxiety, especially talking to girls, and especially talking to girls. I've always been so insecure about my life and who I was that I've never felt good enough for anybody, and that's because of I'm a classic case of abandonment issue also too. So what mental illness underlies in our family, I'm not sure. I know my mom suffered a lot throughout her years, and she was the gene carrier. It is on her side of the family. It's maddening at times, the depression and cycles that I go through. There are times I don't even leave my bedroom or my house, and then there are times I'm super social or want to be social, but it's hard now because of I haven't had any finances to even leave my place for the last 10 years. I've been broke and trying to get medical attention, and that's been a whole nother I'll start talking about medical here the whole time if I get onto that subject, but it's just been a journey, man, and it's tough when you have. And as soon as I started to come out with the diagnosis of my mental health, how different the world treats us, it's painful, man. I know I'm different, and I know that my behavior is different than what it used to be, but still, how everybody else treats us, it's unbelievable. There's no shortage of people who will use your mental health against you to excuse their own shitty behavior. Again, I have no problems admitting mine. I will talk about mine any day. I will sit down, debate, talk about anything I've done in my past with anybody. I have nothing to hide. Absolutely nothing. I will challenge anybody that wants to tell stories about me sit down, let's have a conversation, just to make sure that the truth is being told. But you know, I've done my fair share of terrible things, but for the most part, I think I've done more good than bad. I don't know. Relationships are my biggest issue, so I apologize. That's why I try not to even have friends anymore, because I can't do normal relationships. I feel like I'm just destroyed internally, and I have no trust. I have no trust anymore at all. My trust issues are, they're astronomical at this point. I don't think there's any coming back from it. I just don't think I can ever trust another human being again. It's and maybe that's just my mental illness. I don't know. What do you guys think? That's for the mental health professionals to decide. But yeah, my illness is it's a mystery to me, man. I just roll with it now. I really do. You know, as far as I like to read, I read a lot, but I don't do a whole lot of books because my mind is so. The attention span is really bad for me. I have a hard time staying focused, so I go from article to article a lot of times, and YouTube video to YouTube video. I'll get on a topic maybe for a day or two where I'll research the crap out of it, and then I'll move on to the next one. Just depends on, I guess, what my mind is feeling. It's hard for me to force information in my mind. That's where I let my mind. I just let it take me in whatever direction it kind of wants to feel that day and go. But I do have a lot of interest in just social issues today because someone who grew up in poverty and wanted to escape escape being a statistic and now ending up a statistic. It's very frustrating to me because it makes me think about where I went wrong in life to make this happen, and it really is, unfortunately, and it's not blaming. It really does go back to childhood. We need to have better environments for children, people. We can't have parents leaving each other, leaving unstable parents with children. It's catastrophic to our futures. I got two sisters, and I don't know how happy they're going to be when we mention them, but neither one of them are working full-time right now. So you got three children in their 40s right now that don't have normal relationships, that don't have normal jobs, that are psychologically damaged. My father left us when we were young children, and it's I don't care. I'm going to bash him here a little bit because the man is sober. He doesn't do drugs, doesn't have addiction issues. I don't know, maybe he does have his own mental issues because he completely abandoned us. Makes me wonder what's wrong with him. And now he's adopted a couple new children, which part of me thinks is a good thing. I guess they came from drug abused homes, so I can relate, but it's still pretty painful to have your father that abandoned you adopt new children. He already had three additional children. I have three brothers. Don't know them. I don't know any family really. We've been disowned our whole lives because of my mother, and then how we ended up growing up, because we literally had no one there for us, so we had no structure in our life, so we became bratty kids, I guess. Well, there's absolutely no structure in our life. I was literally, I think I've done what I've wanted my whole life. I just kind of did my own thing, which was another bad situation for me to be in. I didn't have anybody to guide me through life. And then as a big guy too, especially as I grew up, I didn't have anybody to put any discipline or structure in my life. So that's caused some issues. So, but yeah, as far as giving you guys advice for taking care of your mental health, well, after life experiences of putting on weight, losing weight, getting really into fitness, really out of fitness, because I am an extreme. I can tell you that being fit, eating healthy, exercising does wonders for the mental disorder. But it's a matter of being able to maintain that through your depression, which is very tricky, and also just getting burnout from working out. But now I can't do any of it because my body's so damaged. So, but working out and eating right, top two things you got to do. I started meditating. Life was going good before this really flared up in my butt. I was going to go back to school meditating. I recommend meditating, man. It was, I really felt I was starting to gain more control of my thoughts, recognizing when I was having bad thoughts and being able to stop myself. And then getting out in the sun, the nature walks. I know some people criticize. I'm not telling you that this is going to cure. You have to actively do this stuff every day. And that's what I was just recently telling a friend. He was asking me, what to do naturally. And I told him this stuff, and I'm like, it's like a part-time job to treat your depression. naturally. And it can. But, people that use pills, I understand that too. I have never found a pill that works for me. And that's another thing we need to talk about, these damn pills. Nobody really knows what my mental health diagnosis is. It's been ADD, bipolar, so ADD. It's a mystery. But none of the medications have worked. The medications work, people like take them. Instead, I get a bunch of side effects. Medication that doesn't really work. It doesn't make any sense to me. If the medications worked, I'd take them. I've seen them work for my uncle that was a paranoid schizophrenic. So I'm not anti-medication. I just want something that works for me that doesn't give me a bunch of side effects that makes me feel miserable. So I have yet to find that. So, but as far as taking care of that, guys, my best advice is in nutrition is probably the biggest thing, man. You got a bulletproof diet. Check it out. It's not for everybody. It's not the cure-all. Can be adjusted. You don't have to go full bulletproof. You can add a little more fruits, a little more carbs to it. That's what I did, and I really found that to be a good mix for me. But increasing my healthy fat intake reduced all those terrible cravings I've had a lot of my life. So when I can maintain eating a higher level of quality fats, it has an amazing effect on reducing the cravings I have for sugar. And so it's pretty cool. But then when I cut out all sugars, I ended up having cravings too. That's why I added more carbs back into my diet, because we all are different. That's why they can't figure out nutrition, because I think it does depend on, and research I've read, it depends on, more of our recent ancestors, where they came from and what they grew up eating. So how we evolved, how our ancestors evolved eating, depends on how we all eat. So I'm in that boat. I believe that's why nutrition, we all have different digestive systems, and then obviously there's genetic disorders that can affect that too. So got to find out what works best for you guys. So trial and error, but positive attitude obviously too, which I don't have these days. I hopefully to start my new page here, the cynical analyst, or the cynical advocate. Jesus. That is going to be my little new character that I'm going to portray and run around the internet and just be a miserable person, because that's what I am these days. So thanks for listening.